Happy Monday! You guys, we are going to talk about troubleshooting. So say hi, my name is Lauren. I am 43 years old. If you are new to this, maybe you're catching this live, I am 43 years old. Like I said, I love helping women learn to love their makeup again as they age by just giving you simple tips and tricks. So if you like something like that, you're not following me, push that follow button. If you are following me, hi, I'm so glad you're here, and let's get right to it. I have a meeting at 11, so if I don't acknowledge you right away in the comments, I apologize. I'm trying to give you the best tips right away. So yes, let's get it going. All right, so like I said, we are going to, if you read my title, we're going to talk about patchy, cakey makeup. If you feel oily with your makeup, and all the tips I'm going to give you today can go with any type of makeup that you're using. So what I use is Saint Makeup. It is a one compact system, so everything in here is all I use for my whole face. So I don't have like all the bottles and foundations and different things. Everything I use is right here. I do free color matches if you're interested, and everything is cream based. I do personally believe if you have more mature skin, using creams are going to give you a better finish. The reason being, really quick, is that liquid. If you have a liquid foundation that you love and it's working for you, that is amazing. For me, I used to use liquid all the time. What happens is liquid sits on the top layer of the skin. So as we age, what happens with liquids and our skin gets drier. Liquid has a lot of water in it. So as you have it on throughout the day, if you ever notice that it's separating, or your skin looks a little dehydrated, or maybe you have a lot of patchiness, it's because you're using a liquid foundation. Creams don't do that. Yes, Saint is non-comedogenic. That's a hard word on a Monday. So that is why I like creams. Creams are skin-like. They absorb into the skin, so when I move my face, it's gonna move with me. It's very natural. And as we age, I'm very big about natural application. So let's get right to it. And as I apply my makeup, we're gonna talk. First things first, probably one of the biggest things I get, emails, questions, DMs, is my makeup feels heavy, cakey, and oily as I've aged. What am I doing wrong? I think it's the makeup. A lot of times it's not the makeup, it's the application. And if you can get the right application, you're gonna like your makeup a lot better. So we're gonna start with skin prep. Skin prep is really important. Now, if you are using cream makeup, one of the big things that I want you to go and look at if you feel this way is your skincare. So make sure your skincare doesn't have silicone or dimethicone in it if you're using cream makeup. If you're using cream makeup, that's going to have a reaction and you're gonna get maybe some separation. It's gonna feel really heavy and it's gonna feel really cakey. We don't want that. So some people have no problems with it. Like, I'm somebody that can use a skincare product and it can have silicone or dimethicone. I don't really notice a difference, but I have a lot of clients that really do. So depending on whatever you're using as your foundation base, you need to make sure that your skincare, your primers, they all have the same kind of base to it, so you don't get that patchiness. That's gonna be a really big thing, and they're gonna wear really nicely. I'm gonna start with primer. Primer is another one. Look at your ingredients, you guys. Make sure that if you're using a water-based formula, you're using a water-based primer, okay? You don't wanna mix or you're gonna start getting some issues. We don't wanna do that. So I'm just gonna start putting primer all over. I'm using the NYX, what is it called? NYX Plump Right Back. Love this one, it's cheap. You don't need to go spend a lot. Do I believe that primer is good? Yes, I like primer. Now, not everyone likes primer. That is a personal preference. I feel like as we age, I'm gonna get up and close. I've got a lot of texture. So one thing that happens as we age, we get more texture on the skin. We get rosacea, we get melasma, we have veins, we have dark spots, we have unevenness, okay? So one of the biggest things that happen is if we go in with our makeup and we use a color, a lot of times when we color match ourselves, for example, we'll pick a color too light for our skin. It's very common. So you'll pick a color that's too light. And if I go in with a color that's too light on any of these areas, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna end up using more product in order to get coverage. So then right away, I'm gonna feel heavy, cakey, greasy, oily, and I'm gonna have a really big buildup of product, and it's going to look like I'm old. We want to make it so that what we use on our face is actually less product, but still get the coverage. So I saw someone said they liked full coverage. You can still get full coverage with what I'm gonna show you. You just have to have the right products and place different products on the skin in the right area. So I'm just gonna pull my hair back just a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, do you pick your color from your neck? Yes, that's exactly what I do. You don't want to pick it like from, like remember back in the day, like your wrists and things like that. You don't wanna do that. And when I color match you, I do all of that. Like I take the guesswork out of it because color matching is hard, and also picking a foundation online is hard because websites, the colors aren't correct. So if you can go in store, or if you have someone like me who can color match, I know the colors really well. I color match thousands of women. I can help you with that too. What I'm gonna suggest first is color correction. So if you have a lot of rosacea, or if you have texture, I want you to pick a color that's a little darker, okay? And I'm gonna pick a color that has a green undertone because I have a lot of redness here, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I'm gonna pick this. This color is gonna scare a lot of you, but it's gonna be crazy how it works. This is called Aspen, okay? Now, you can use a color like this, or if you have just texture and you don't have a lot of redness, using a bronzer first is gonna even everything out. So I'm gonna go in with a brush. This is just kind of a double-ended fluffy brush. This is a blush and bronzer brush from Saint. You can use whatever you have. I like using kind of a fluffier brush for this, so I don't pick up too much product. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in darker. Now, if I went in lighter right now on this area, what's gonna happen is it's gonna pull texture like crazy, and I'm gonna end up using way too much product. So you'll see today that I'm gonna be using a lot of different colors on my face. If you're using one bottle of liquid foundation, and yes, I am guilty of that too, you're not gonna get a natural look. Our skin, when you look at your skin, if you were honestly looking at yourself in the mirror, you have a lot of different colors in your skin. So we're taught to color correct with one color, or to use liquid foundation, one bottle of liquid foundation. That's not gonna do it. Our skin isn't natural. So look how that's already, just by putting that on, it's just evening everything out. So this is Aspen. You can pick anything. If you have a color corrector at home that has like a green undertone, this has an ashy color. That ash base is also going to neutralize everything out, okay? I didn't put much on. Creams are very pigmented. So right there, I'm like neutralized already. The texture looks really good. Okay, now I'm gonna just start with some of my makeup application. Now, if I wanted to add a little bit of maybe some color to the skin, I could go in with some bronzer, but I don't want to do a heavy layered makeup look today. I wanna keep it really simple. So I'm gonna go into some contour now, okay? One thing about contour is you only need to place it where you actually need it. Contour is not something you need to go in with your entire face and just put it all over. You're only using it where you want to lift and define and sculpt. So if you don't feel like you need it on your forehead, like if you don't have a large forehead, you don't need this here. So I'm just literally just kind of placing it here. I'm hollow here. I don't wanna recede that area, so I'm not putting that on there. Yeah, Aspen is amazing because I'm the same way. I will just leave the house with it on because it just did you guys just see how that just neutralized? It just made everything just look so less textured. And I hardly put anything on. So the biggest thing with products is placement. And if you have the right colors, the right color correctors, you don't need to put much product on. And as we age, the less product you can put on, the better, because you're not gonna have the texture. If you're layering, you're gonna get texture and separation, and we don't want that, right? We already have that, we don't wanna accentuate that. Okay, I'm keeping the contour really, really minimal today. I'm gonna put a little bit on my nose, but really, I'm gonna keep it really light and really simple, because I want you to see that you can get coverage with hardly any product at all. And you can bring out your best features without getting texture. That is literally contour. Contour is going to recede. It's great in areas of pores because it is thicker. So it's going to give you coverage. It's not gonna move all over the place. We don't want contour to be moving. It's not supposed to be creamy. It's literally supposed to be where you're putting it, okay? Now, I'm gonna go in with my foundation. Now, here's where people go a little bit crazy, okay? So if you're using a cream-based foundation, I'm gonna talk specifically to that right now. But if you're using a cream, like if you were used to using a liquid, right? We put the liquid all over our face and we have to use a lot to get coverage. Creams are really pigmented. You hardly need any at all. So when I put my brush into this product, I don't need to put a lot on. I'm literally going to just dip. I'm not going like this. I'm not swiping. I use two colors. I'm just going in between. And then I'm gonna tap it into the skin because creams are skin-like. So if I'm swiping it, another problem that people have is when they swipe your product onto the skin, you're taking it off. This is the detail brush. You're taking your product off the skin. If you tap it, because creams absorb into the skin, you're making it like a second layer of skin. So can you guys just see like how that just looks like my skin? And now when I move and I change, like smile, it just looks natural. It looks like me. And that's what we want as we age. A lot of times the liquid foundations that we use work in our 20s, they even work in our 30s. But as we age and we get a little bit of texture, we get, pores, things happen as we age, right? There's a lot of beauty in aging, but there's a lot of acceptance in aging, right? And our makeup kind of has to change, because the same makeup that worked when we had really smooth baby skin, even though in our 20s and 30s we didn't think we did, our skin changes. So just really make sure that what you're using is really giving you that beautiful skin-like look that you want for yourself. If you're not loving your makeup, try creams. I challenge you, because I was so skeptical, and it really just gives, just look at this, the most skin-like look. And I still look like me. That's what I want. And so, okay, and you can get as full coverage, as light coverage as you want, depending on your brush. Your brush is going to determine the coverage, not how much you cake on your face. If your bristles are dense, so that means if they're closer together like this one, you're gonna get a medium to full coverage. If you're using something like this, you're gonna get a lighter coverage. So it really is the brush you use, not how many layers we put on our face. Okay, so I've got that on. If you notice, I'm not layering, right? I'm just placing it only where I need it. And if you have, if your skin doesn't have discoloration in an area, you don't even need to put foundation on there. We're taught to layer foundation all over, but really if your skin is beautiful in that area, you don't even need to put that on there. Foundation is just evening everything out. I think we're taught, I know I was, just that everything needs to be matte and just, covered up. But really our skin is so beautiful, so let it breathe and only put it where you need it. Okay. I told you in the beginning, right? We all probably started out with a bottle of liquid foundation, right? And we would put that all over our face, and then we looked one-dimensional and kind of like a piece of paper. Well, now the new thing that I'm trying to teach is that we want to use more than one color, because our skin, when we look in the mirror, is more than one color. So now I'm going to bring some brightness back to the face. So I'm going to use a color that, if you look, these are my foundation shades right here. So now I'm going to go in and use something that's about 1 to 2 shades lighter. Okay, I'm not going to go super light. Now, if you have really, when you're younger, you could go a little lighter, but if you go too light under the under eye, most of us have crow's feet here, we have fine lines, and all light is going to do is bring light to the face. So it's going to add and bring kind of attention to the areas maybe you don't want to bring attention to. So I'm literally just coming right in here. I'm not even color correcting today. I'll do another live on color correcting, I promise, because I know I have a lot of people wanting that. But I'm just gonna bring it right down this part of the nose and right here. And literally that's gonna open and brighten the eye, and literally hardly any product at all. Bringing it on the temple because I hollow right there, so it's gonna kind of plump that area out. Makeup is all about placement. It's kind of like a magic show. That's how I think of makeup. Makeup is all about placement. It's like where you want people to look, and where you don't want people to look, you're gonna bring in a darker color so you can recede that area. Okay, so then I'm just gonna bring that down the middle of my face, and I'm using 2 different colors, so I'm adding that brightness back to my face. Now, if you have a lot of, one thing that happens a lot as we age is separation on the nose. If you have a problem with putting makeup on the nose and you get patchiness or separation, or it gets really dry, here's a trick for you. Use an eyeshadow primer and put it on before you put any makeup on your nose. I personally love this one. This is the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. If you can see, I'll show you. It's Skin Light. This is gonna give a really good base to your makeup before you go in with your products. You also don't wanna put anything too light on the nose if you get patchy. If you are putting something too light on the nose, it's gonna immediately separate and you're gonna see it. So if that's an area that you struggle with, that's just some tips, and then you really want to keep it light on the nose. You don't want to put too much makeup products there, because the more you layer, and I've been guilty of this because my nose used to do this really bad, is the more you layer products to get coverage, the more patchiness it's going to have, and then you're just in a world of trouble at that point, and you're gonna have to start all over. So, okay, so now I'm just gonna blend this all out, and I'm blending the two colors together, okay? So now we've just brightening the face, giving my under eyes just a little coverage, and I'm tapping. I'm not swiping. If I swipe, I'm gonna take all that product off, and really, I wanna keep it nice and light. When you're applying creams especially, I think one of the misconceptions is that it's heavy. Creams are actually really, really light. Really light. In fact, I do FaceTimes with my customers, and one of the questions, and if you've done a FaceTime with me, you know I've asked you, is I ask, is it heavy? If it's heavy on the skin, you're doing it wrong. It should feel like nothing is on your skin. So that's how you know that you're not applying too much product. Okay. And you can see, hopefully you can see I'm holding my brush too. I'm not holding it really tight. I'm not gripping it tight. It's a very light way that I'm holding it, so I'm getting just a really light coverage too. I'm not pressing hard on the skin, especially on the under eyes, okay? Now, one thing I have here, I'm gonna be transparent with you, I have a vein right here. It's really hard to cover. So I'm gonna go in just really quick. I'm gonna show you how I would do this if I didn't grab my color correctors, so I'm just gonna go in with my darker foundation. So remember, if you have texture, don't wanna go in too light. So I'm just gonna go in with a darker foundation and just take a really small brush. So I don't want to put a ton of product under the under eye. If I put a ton of product under the under eye, I'm going to get that cakey look again. And I'm just going to tap that on the vein where I have that issue, and then just a little bit onto the tear trough without putting a lot of product, okay? Do I still have tear troughs? Yes. Am I going to get rid of texture? No. Makeup doesn't get rid of that, no matter what people say. Unless I have a filter on, it's gonna still be there, okay? All right, so that is just 3D foundation, really easy, okay? Now we're gonna warm up the face. We're gonna put on a tiny bit of bronzer. I'm gonna go back to a brush that's really, really fluffy, so I'm gonna get a really light coverage. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna pinch it, and I'm gonna go right into my bronzer, okay? Cream, like I said, is pigmented, so I don't want you going onto your face if you're using a cream bronzer right away. We're gonna swirl that on our hand. Look how much came off, okay? And then I'm just gonna put that on the high points of my cheeks. I wanna look natural. I don't wanna look crazy. I'm just gonna warm up the skin. This spot brush is my favorite. I'm obsessed with that one, because you can use it in so many different ways, and I think it helps not overuse your products and put too much on your face. I love it. I'm glad you do too. Okay, there's your bronzer. See, I just warmed up the face. It gave me a natural, like, glowy look. I don't look like I'm pale and live in Idaho, okay? So there is the bronze look. Now, put a little blush on. We don't need a lot of blush. We just need a little bit. So we're gonna go in. I'm just gonna take this really scary color that a lot of people get really nervous about. It's Baby Watermelon. A little bit on the brush is gonna go a long way. Not much, okay? And then if you are nervous, you wanna tap it on your hand, you can, because you can come back to your hand. And I'm just gonna start by just applying that on the high point of the cheek, and I'm gonna bring it up above the eyebrow, just like that. See how that's bringing the glow back to my skin? That is the biggest thing as we age, is if you're using a matte product, even if you're oily and you feel like you were told you were supposed to use a matte product, you don't have to use a matte product if you're oily. It's all about your products that you're using to prep your skin, but you don't need to. So you wanna bring the glow back to the skin as we age. Okay, look how natural. Can you guys hopefully see how natural that is? And I still look like me, but my skin looks glowy and it looks hydrated, and that's what we want. That's what everyone is searching for as we age. Okay, I'm gonna put a little illuminator on. Here's a question I get with illuminator. Yes, you can wear illuminator. If you have fine lines and wrinkles around the eyes, I don't know if you just noticed, but here's right here is where everybody has kind of like a crow's feet as we age, right? Right in that area. Don't put your illuminator right there. Instead, just put it right a little bit lower, and you're still gonna get that glow, and you're not gonna have it highlight any crow's feet or fine lines and wrinkles. So I'm just going lower than the under eye. So if that's somewhere that you have an area that concerns you, don't put it there. Just go a little bit lower, okay? See how that just brings back the glow to the skin without like a lot of just like color. It just gives a nice creamy skin-like look. Okay, now if you are someone who likes powder, let's talk about that really quick. Powder, okay, here's my biggest tip with powdering under eyes. If you were from the era where you baked your under eyes, I'm guilty, here's my new thought for that. I sometimes will set my under eyes with powder. I'm very dry, so I don't do it very often, but I would suggest taking a very small brush like this. It can be an eyeshadow brush, and then I like to use like a pink powder, so something like this. And I'm not gonna put much on the brush at all. In fact, I'm gonna dip in and I'm tapping off, and then I'm literally going to just put that powder right there. I'm not gonna go very far. Now, if you're someone who wants a little bit more, you can press that onto the tear trough, but I'm not putting much on. I stay clear from this area when I set my under eye because I do not want any type of creasing. I'm gonna show you a different trick if you're worried about creasing. Okay, so let me just, I'm using really minimal product of powder here. But the fluffy brush is gonna ensure that you're not going in and just putting like so much on that you're gonna crease, okay? A lot of people have a hard time with redness under the nose. You can just take that little bit of powder and set right there too. You don't need to cake your face with powder, okay? Especially as you're aging, just put it only where you need it. If you're oily, only set where you need it. Now, if you're creasing under the eyes, take a little bit of your setting spray. This is my favorite. e.l.f. Blue Light is cheaper, and I like that option too, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury. Spray a little on your finger, so just like this, okay? I just kind of rub it together. And then you're just going to not touch where you just put powder, because you don't want to put setting spray on top there, and just tap. And that's gonna set your under eye, okay? It gives the same effect without creasing. Then you're going to take your setting spray and you wanna generously, I can't even say that word today, spray your face, okay? Because that's going to set your makeup in place. One thing that people don't do is use a setting spray. It's not, I don't want a finishing spray, I want a setting spray. And you wanna make sure that you really douse your skin with that because it's going to make sure your makeup stays in place all day. If you're using a setting powder, do that first and then spray. So there you have it, you guys. Skin-like application without heavy layers, and you still look like you as you age. If you guys have any questions, please feel free. I'm going to post this. Feel free to ask them in the comment section. I would love to answer them. If you guys have videos and lives that you want me to do to problem solve for something that you're having a hard time with, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I hope you have the best week ever. And yeah, happy Monday. Bye, guys.